minutes, and then you pick a topic and you pass it on.
My name's Young. I'm a very grateful recovered alcoholic today. Beyond grateful to be alive. Beyond grateful. You know, I woke up this morning. I've been given another chance at life this morning. I might be able to help another alcoholic this morning. I might be able to be a bit of a better parent, a bit more patient, a bit kinder. All those things that I wasn't for many decades out there. Many decades when I lived in that lower power. And I loved what Queen Mary's great name, you know, said about the lady who passed. You know, I'm sure she sounded like a beautiful soul, and we give so much love and respect to those old timers, don't we? Because they are the ones that stuck around, held out their hands and said, look, child, here's water. Come, we have a solution. It's beautiful and it's spiritual. You don't have to live in hell anymore. I didn't know there was a solution. It was because of ladies, you know, like that lady who talked about, who stuck around, who held their hands out, showed me kindness, showed me there was a different way I could live, showed me that sobriety didn't have to be what I thought it was, hanging on for dear life, being miserable and unhappy, because they seemed happy and joyous and free, even when life came at them, because they shared these things with me, and that sounded so attractive. You know, that was the thing. They were these people that their whole deportment shouted they were someone who had a solution. And I wanted that. Because when I came into this program, I was a criminal, a cheat, a thief, a bad father. I was just very sick. I've been in a lot of institutions, many rehabs, many hospitals, many detoxes. And at the end of my drinking, I wanted to die. Every single day for that last year, I wish my life would come to an end. That seemed the only solution for me at that moment. But thank God, that was the gift I was given at the end. I just opened my big book, and it's opened up on Bill's story. The bit where Bill's saying, you know, he's just met Ebby. You know, this guy used to be as smashed up as Bill was, but he's well. He's got this look in his eye. And when someone guided me through that, I really related to it. When I went into the rooms and I met these guys and these women who were on fire. They had this look in their eyes, and it was so attractive. And I said to them, what do I have to do to get what you've got? And they told me about these 12 steps that would get me to God. And I'd never had God in my life. And they said, because when I first came in, my prejudice was so great. I had no understanding. I'd never lived a spiritual life. I said, I'm never using the word God. That was how deep my prejudice was. And then it was said, all you need is a willingness. And I had that in abundance because I had nowhere else to go. I knew I was going to die. And the bit I was going to read in Bill's story is when Ebby's he's gone through, Bill's talked about the 12 steps on page 13. And then he said, my friend promised when these things were done, when I've got to this power, when I've got to God through, you know, taking the 12 steps, I would enter upon a new relationship with my Creator. That I would have all the elements of a way of living which solved all my problems. Wow. I couldn't believe that when he first read it to me. It's a reality. I can tell you, if you're new in, this is a reality. Everything my sponsor, who celebrated 34 years the other week, everything he promised me has come true in abundance. Everything. He used to say, Young, there's so much more to this than just putting down the drink. There's so much more. Because unfortunately, I've been one of these people that have been in and out of the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous for about 10 years, not working one single step, just sat in meetings. And I was wondering, why do I keep on picking up a drink against my will? When my kids are crying and please, Daddy, don't do it again. Why do I keep on, if my children, who the greatest love in my life, is not enough power to stop me picking up, I'm going to need to get to a bigger power than even the love that I have for my children. I could see clearly, because, you know, I'm just saying my experience. I think God gave me a little bit of grace. He said, right, I'm going to give you this small window of opportunity right now, this last chance maybe. Because when I came into the doors, I looked like I was dying. I was dying. My spirit was broken. I had bones sticking out my cheek. I looked like I'd just been dug up out of the graveyard. I wasn't eating for 4 days at a time. When I talk about that person today, I know that person has died. And I have been reborn. I've been reborn. How can I not be grateful to be alive today? How can I not? been given another chance. And when we talk about the psychic change, my sponsor, because those words used to scare me, and my sponsor just put things really simply, and he promised me, he said, if you throw yourself into this program, into these 12 steps and certain simple things like praying, meditating, helping other people, I remember saying to him, when he first told me that I needed to help other people, I said to him, what's in it for me? Why would I want to help others? What's in it for me? And he said, what's in it for you, Young? Peace, serenity, joy, purpose, and sobriety. Apart from that, nothing. Okay, I'll do what you say. I'll do it. He's a very kind man. Very kind. He showed so much patience, so much tolerance when I wasn't very lovable. Most people would have told me I'm not going to swear, but where to go. But his hands were held out. He knew that I was desperate, and he never turned his back on me. This is what this program's about, right? We don't shoot our wounded. He knew that I'd been in and out of the rooms for years, but he was still patient with me. And for any newcomers, the only problem for me in this program is me. For those 10 years that I wasn't all in, doing half measures, not even doing half measures, just going to meetings. But as soon as I launched myself into this stuff, out of desperation, things started to change for me very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. I love where it says, this way of living that solves all my problems. It absolutely does. It doesn't mean my problems are taken away. My auntie, who's like my mother, she died very recently. I had so much love for that lady, so much love. Not once, I wouldn't think about a drink because that problem's been removed. But also, I just thought, how can I help my family? That doesn't come from me. I'm getting help from my creator today. This complete psychic change, this change in the way I feel, the way I think, and the way that I react to life today is completely different. All that I know, when I picked up a drink at the age of 11, it did something magical to me. It rocketed me to heaven. But then, as my life went on, it rocketed me to hell. But then what I discovered, because I thought alcohol was my problem, I took alcohol out of me on my first detox in the Salvation Army detox unit. And I felt worse. I thought I'd be fine. I thought I'd be cured. What I found, I didn't feel any sense of ease and comfort with life. Life felt very spiky. I felt very irritable, very restless. I couldn't control my emotional nature. I'd feel misery and depression. And that's me sober. And I certainly couldn't control my decision not to touch the first drink, because lack of power is my dilemma. Not because I get beat as a child, not because my wife left me, not because my kids hate me, not because all those things that I blamed for years and years. My problem is lack of power. But also I discovered my problem is selfishness and self-centeredness, driven by 100 forms of fear. Fear that I'm going to lose what I have, fear that I'm not good enough, fear of loneliness, fear of rejection, and then I make really bad decisions. Step on people's toes, they hurt me, I can't see that I'm the problem, not anyone else, and I drink on it, and it takes away that feeling of uselessness. So it is my perfect solution. So if I take out my solution, I need to fill it with a bigger one, which I know today is God. But when I came in, all I wanted to do was to stop drinking. That would have been enough at that moment in time. And I remember my sponsor said to me, Young, I wish I could touch you like E.T. and show you your potential. Show you your potential peace, your potential joy and your potential happiness. If I could touch you, you're going to be all in. You're going to be asking to do step work every single day. But I believed what he said. I believed these things. And when he told me, Young, your troubles are of your own making. Because like I said, I used to blame everyone for my troubles. And he said to me, that statement is so freeing, because what it means is the people in the world don't have to change for you to be okay. Rach doesn't have to change for you to be okay. Tom doesn't have to change for you to be okay. Joseph doesn't have to change for you to be okay. And this process, this journey, and I hate that word journey, but as I started being guided through these 12 steps, something shifted in my soul. And I could see that so clearly. At the end of my step 4 and 5, I could see my defects of character. And I thought to myself, how have I been living so long in this world, so angry, so impatient, so selfish, so full of self-pity? How have I been living this long? This is a painful way to live. God, I am completely willing. Please help me get onto the other path. Because it was also said to me, we've got A or B in this program. A or B. You stay. I remember being at step 3 and my sponsor said, you're at this road. You're at this crossroads, young. You're at this crossroads. You can either carry on the road you've always been on, trying on your own thinking, on your own willpower, on your own plans and designs to not pick up a drink and to live happy in this world. And he said to me, how's that been working for you so far? And I had to admit it hadn't been working, because I'm almost in the ground 6 foot under, and I'm really unhappy with life and myself and everyone in it. Or, he said, you get on the spiritual path. But it'll require a bit of action. No middle of the road solution, he said to me. No half measures. You need to put all your ideas aside. You need to trust me. And so I did. And so the change started to happen. And all those promises in the book started to happen to me. And so I was transported into a place where suddenly I stopped hating myself. Suddenly I find little glimpses of sunlight, of love being put into me by something that I can't explain, because it's a divine power. And then when I start feeling love for myself and from my Creator, I can start loving my brothers and my sisters without wanting anything in return. Because in the past, if I was showing love to anyone, it wouldn't be real love. It'd be because I wanted something in return from you. Usually because I'm hustling or I'm doing this. Has anyone seen on Netflix Stranger Things? Stranger Things. They've got this thing called the Upside Down World, and it's basically like hell but on earth. And I look at that as I used to live in the upside down. I'm in the world, but I'm not of the world. I can see people going about their business, but I can't seem to connect into it. I'm so disconnected. As I started going through these 12 steps, I started to feel a little bit of connection to something. Today I feel a part of the world. I feel a part of you guys. I love you guys in this fellowship. I love this fellowship. I can never pay back this debt. Never pay back this debt. It's given me my life. It's given me a new life beyond anything I could have ever imagined. And I'm not talking about material things, because I thought life was about material things, and as long as I get those things, I'll be happy. Although at the end of my drinking, I'd been stripped of everything. My family, I lived in a tiny little apartment with no possessions, no television, no money, stripped. I can see that was the gift I was given. I can see that was the gift I was given. When I say a life beyond my wildest dreams, a life where I know that I can be useful and I have a purpose, I have a direction, I have peace in my soul today, which I've never known. When we're talking about connection, when I told you about when I'm 11-year-old and I picked up a drink and it did something for me, it connected me to the world. I lived in a place where everyone's name was John or David and my name was Young, and I felt very different. Suddenly I didn't care about that. But I couldn't seem to connect into the world and be part of it on my own power. I know today I needed the power of God, or a power greater if you don't like that word. It was only a matter of being willing to believe. How could I not believe where I'm so broken, where I get to a point where I understand that my life run on my own thinking can hardly be a success, because I can't stop picking up alcohol. And my life's never a success with alcohol in it. And it was never a success with alcohol not in it, because I felt restless. I felt miserable. A matter of a willingness to believe, why wouldn't this work for me? Why wouldn't this work for me when it's been working for millions of people since the 1930s? All it required was me throwing myself in. And when I went through this 12 steps, then my sponsor, I remember he said to me, at the beginning, he said, The reason I'm taking you through this beautiful, life-changing, life-saving big book of Alcoholics Anonymous is so you have a spiritual awakening, a psychic change. You get God into your life, and I'll teach you how to keep there and connect and get this deeper relationship with your Creator by doing certain simple things each day. And then he said, and then you pass this stuff on. This is not optional, young. He said, I'm not taking a sponsee through the work. I'm taking a future sponsor. And so as soon as I went through, at 6 months, I'm sponsoring guys. I've always had sponsees from that moment. And they teach me so much. And I see miracles in them. And God speaks through them to me. And I'm like, whoa. The beautiful thing about this program, I know it's never ending. God is infinite. Just my eyes are opening every single day in a new way. I awaken to every new day is just like, I remember I said to my sponsor, when will I know when I've had a spiritual awakening? And he said, because you want to shout about it to other alcoholics. And that's what I like to do today. Because there is a solution. You do not have to be in pain. You do not have to be scared. Here's my hand, come and take it. Come and jump in. You know, this stuff is absolutely beautiful. The only pain was in my resistance to this program. The only pain was in my prejudice to God or to a higher power. The only pain was when I used to say, yes, I know. And my sponsor says, no, you don't. You don't. Just take directions. And thank God he directed me. And thank God for those old timers sticking around and showing us the way out. Because those guys at the beginning of this movement, it's almost like they dug a path through the desert and they shine their lights upon this path, and they said, all you have to do is stick on this path. And they wrote these instructions down in this beautiful big book, clear-cut directions, this beautiful big book full of directions and warnings and prayers and promises. It's like a treasure map in there with gold within it. Keep on discovering more. My sponsor said, right, book studies, get into your book studies. Study this book, but don't just study it, young. Apply it. Try and practice these principles in all your affairs. Because any fool can study any book and quote it and sound clever. Are you practicing these principles in all your affairs? Because when I think about my will or God's will, I try and keep things really simple because I'm quite a simple chap. My will is if I'm being selfish, if I'm being jealous, if I'm being intolerant. God's will, if I'm being kind, patient, generous, loving, tolerant, I'm in God's will in that moment. If I'm living in this moment, if I'm embracing this moment, I'm in God's will. If I'm in the future, in my head, I'm in my self-will. If I'm in the past, I'm in my self-will. So all I had to do was follow these simple directions and then live a different way of life. Turn towards God each day. Get on my knees when I wake up. Let this power in. Prayer, meditation, such an important part of my life today. Like it says in the 12 and 12, as important as eating and drinking to me. It sustains me. It keeps me in the flow, so I'm flowing down the river and I'm not suddenly trying to go upstream again. I'll go back to what we said at the beginning. Rarely have we seen a person fail who thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are those who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. If there's any newcomers in the room, ask yourself, are you giving yourself completely to this simple program? Completely. Simple but not easy, it says in the book. A price had to be paid. It meant destruction of self-centeredness on a daily basis because my self-will was going to jump back in. And I think about this beautiful program and how amazing it is. Most, if not all, spiritual practices, what the guys are trying to do in those spiritual practices is cut away the self. Cut away the self, because it's the self that brings me all the problems. When I think about a decision in step 3, I think about the word incision, to cut away. And, you know, people will spend thousands of dollars going up the mountains in the Himalayas trying to get to this place of spiritual awakening. But we don't need to do that. because we're living in the age of miracles within our fellowship. The age of miracles is here with us, and we see it every single day. I'm just going to end it. I think I've got a couple of minutes. Am I okay for time, Christine? Thank you. I'm just going to end it on a couple of things. Page 317. When I'm willing to do the right thing, I am rewarded with an inner peace no amount of liquor could ever provide. This is what we're given in this program. An inner peace that I could never get to with liquor. When I'm unwilling to do the right thing, I become restless, irritable, and discontent. It's always my choice. Through the 12 steps, I've been granted the gift of choice. I am no longer at the mercy of a disease that tells me the only answer is to drink. If willingness is the key to unlock the gates of hell, it is action that opens those doors so we may walk freely among the living. Because isn't this what we're looking for? Isn't this what I was looking for when I came in? Firstly, I wanted to stop drinking. Then the problem was removed. And then I started, I wanted freedom, and that was given. This place of usefulness, that was given. This purpose, all these things that I had none of those things when I came in. I was terrified. I was terrified that I would never get this stuff. But all I had to do was throw myself into this simple spiritual program of action. I really hope someone got something off my share today. Thank you so much for listening. I'll put my number in the chat. Anyone wants to talk about this 12-step program, I'll be so happy to talk to you. Thank you.